All right. Hey, welcome back to the Go for CO channel. This is John the Bomb. Building others means business. And man, when I saw this guy just roaming around this networking event, I was interested because he was kind of sharing some cool things. I had overheard, a conversation that I heard of him with another gentleman, and I was like, man, I got to meet this guy. So Rob Glaser from Virtual Time Capsule. What a cool business that you have started here, and excited to have you on the Go for CO channel. Let's get it rolling, man. You're going to be in for a treat today, Go for CEO community. And by the way, if you're not a subscriber, I don't do this enough, but subscribe to the channel, become a part of the community, share a message, and at the end, Rob's going to share with you how to connect with him if you enjoyed what you're seeing today, because he's got a really cool story and a really cool business. So, Rob, welcome to the Go for CEO channel.
Thanks, John. I appreciate you having me here. And the Go For CEO podcast is one of my favorites. I learn something new from every person, so I keep going.
I
Appreciate
appreciate
it.
that. Well, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, look, it's about SMBs, right? Small and medium-sized business owners. It's about what are we doing to really kind of create maybe even a side hustle or something that you're building, right? Obviously I wear my commercial banker hat every day and I'm helping that small to medium-sized business grow and get capital and all these things. But I love hearing stories like yours. And we always start kind of, where did this start from? Virtual time capsule. Like, how's a young dude with a vision? Like, what are you thinking? What's going on? And what's some of the ideation part of it?
yeah. So Virtual Time Capsule is a platform that allows you to send messages to whoever you want at a later date in the future, and it creates a nostalgic gift and surprise. And so, uh, how it started was my grandfather passed away of a heart attack in his sleep a few years ago, and I'm the oldest grandchild. And I was FaceTiming him the day before, showing him my dorm room, and something came over me that said, "Hey, just take a screenshot of this moment because you never know what could happen." They were just kind of sitting perfectly in their kitchen, and it was a good picture. And that was my last goodbye. And I didn't realize it at the time, but the stories that he told me died with him that day. So we were putting together the picture board for his funeral, and I kept asking questions about what was in each picture and the history behind it. And I realized that my cousins who had just been born won't ever understand who he was. They'll see these pictures and really kind of understand the concept of grandpa, but not really care about who he was or the history or impact he could have made. And I thought about how he used to take me to ball games a lot when I was younger. And so how cool would it have been for him to be able to take a video of me when I'm 7 years old at a baseball game, and send it back to me when I'm 18 or 25, 35 or whatever. And not only be able to have that moment when look at it from a different perspective of when I'm older and can and think about it differently, but then also after he passed, just being able to receive that message that he intentionally sent to me at a later date was a cool concept. And so I started talking to as many people as I could, kind of just figuring out the grief. This is my first real experience with death and losing somebody close. So I wanted to be able to process it and understand it myself, and learned that a lot of people are going through similar things where they lost their grandparents or like a mom or dad or really someone close. And they never got the chance to say goodbye or be able to capture that moment. Um, and so one of my classes built it on as a class project. So we built out an MVP model. It had kind of like a functioning version. And then we graduated. I was like, yeah, we're doing the entrepreneur thing. We're building it. And then everybody got jobs. So the team fell apart. I was like, oh, all right, I got this technical business that I don't really know what to do with. I'm not going to be able to build this on my own. I need other people. So I kind of put it on the back burner and fumbled my way through some jobs to kind of try to figure out what that next step was. But each day, having this idea of like, all right, how do I come back to this? How do I keep building on it? I found a competitor based out of California who their website was almost like the same color scheme and design as mine. His interviews were almost word for word my pitch competitions, and I was like, wow, this is pretty like similar. I noticed there were serial entrepreneurs and had a bunch of other experience, and so I sent a bunch of messages to me like, hey, I'm following along. I'm running a similar business. I'd love to be able to kind of join, and I'm offering an internship for 3 months and kind of just be able to learn and create value and see how we could be able to partner. And they kind of kicked it down the line a little bit and eventually came back to me and said that I'd be an independent contractor. I'd have to give up all ownership rights and content of Virtual Time Capsule to them. I would be locked out of the industry for 3 years, fired at any point in time, and then no compensation. So I was like, cool, you're literally just trying to take a competitor out without even
Yeah.
talking. All right.
Yeah.
I was like, I have some concerns. Can we talk about this? And they took about 2 weeks and finally came back and said, nope, we're not taking any considerations. Best of luck. And I was like, okay. So
Welcome to business as war.
exactly. Yeah, that was the real first thing. And looking back at it now, I was so eager because I wanted this thing to succeed and I wanted to be able to build with the right people. And I thought it was them, but there were so many red flags. So I'm really grateful that it didn't happen that way. But I was debating, I was let down at the time and I was debating about whether or not I wanted to keep it up and running. And someone reached out on Instagram and said that he had saw my website. He was in his early 40s and going through a divorce, has two young kids under the age of 5, had a ton of videos on his phone and wasn't able to see them very often. So he literally Googled virtual time capsule to figure out a way to send it to him. We found out that we have like a lot of similar connections and history together. So it was cool to be able to meet somebody like that. And then we were like, okay, well, this is I like these conversations. What would it look like if we worked together? Would success look like, failure look like, and kind of be able to bounce off of each other. And started revamping the business, started talking about like the new business models and kind of just things that I've learned from that time in college. And we started rolling, and he brought in his cousins based out of California who were developers. And I was like, cool, we can take the old version and kind of figure out what's working, what's not working, and then be able to readjust it and kind of take what our learnings and put it all together. We were probably spending 5 to 8 hours on the phone for 3 months. And then we were like, all right, we're chugging along. Let's file as an LLC and everybody gets 5% ownership. And then we'll vest it after 18 months and then be able to see where we are and kind of uh, divvy up a little bit better and then bring in some new investors. And the developers said, nope, we're not doing any more work until we file as C corporation. Everybody is going to be a co-op. So instead of 5%, they wanted 12.5%. And then they were talking about how much easier it would be that if one person was struggling for their division, you could be able to cipher that off to be able to not affect the other ones. And I was just like, I don't necessarily know how this business model works for our startup model. Let me go talk to some people and kind of figure out if there's a better way to do this and get some expert opinion. And during that time, I was like, we can still focus on some of the other development work and keep things rolling. And they ghosted me. And I was just like, okay, I'm a little worried. You have all my code and stuff, and you're not answering anything. They finally came back to the cousin through a text message and said that they no longer wanted to work with me. Everything we were doing was going to cost too much time and money for them, so they didn't really want to put that into it. And then they had some concerns for me as an entrepreneur and how I was leading. And they got mad because I called them on a Sunday because again they ghosted me and I thought we were business partners. So cool. Um, I sent them an email saying, "Hey, I hear that you don't want to work with me anymore. I appreciate your time. We did spend a lot of time together for the 3 months. Like there was a lot of conversation. I hope that all of that stays between us and that I make this business a success and can kind of prove you wrong. But let me know if I can do anything for you in the future. I always try to keep doors open and not
Sure.
burn any bridges." And he came back and said, "How dare you? Everything we did was for the better of the company. This is why we can't work with you." And I was just like, I was yesterday you said you didn't want anything to do with my business, and now between the two of you, you were taking more equity than me. I was just like, what does this do? He wanted a 12% owner equity, profit sharing, voting rights, chairman position, and a few other things. And I was just like, wow, okay. So again, lesson number two in business is war. They eventually backed out. The cousin then backed out because his divorce started picking up a little bit. So he wasn't able to put the time into it. met a new business partner around that time too, who was transitioning out of his old job. He had kind of like a year on the contract when he sold the business, and then was looking to dig his teeth into something before retirement. Kind of came in and said that he would run all like the back end operations. He could invest some money into it, and take care of just all of the legality and accounting, so that he could allow the entrepreneur to be able to go run with it. I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly what I need. Cool. So I found through some friends, I found new developers, and we started building out a new version. Launched that in December of 2022. Um, Functional. It was actually definitely functional, but it didn't create the best user experience where it was just kind of straightforward. And people got confused of what topics to talk about, where to go, and stuff like that. So, um, then we launched version 3 probably in December of 23, so a full year later, where we gave everybody all of the options. Where the thing with virtual time capsule is that it applies to so many different types of people on so many different realms. My time capsule is different than yours for who I'm sending it to, what the purpose is, how long it's going, how much storage I'm sending it. Um, and so we needed to be able to kind of customize and allow people to pick and choose what they wanted to talk about, and as well as guide them. So if I'm sending you a message and I want to send a birthday message to you in 5 years, I want to be able to kind of walk through what things that I want to talk about. And the way we did it just kind of it was a nice design, but it just overcomplicated everything. So we just revamped that. Now have an AI experience that it's like a time traveler prompts guide that kind of gives you different type of topics to talk about. So that way it kind of automatically starts knowing who you are, and helps you understand what you want to talk about. You can pick and choose different topics and then invite people to those specific topic or prompts. So that way I want my mom to talk about this one thing. I want my dad to talk about this other thing, so that my brother gets all of us being able to say a happy birthday message to him in 5 years. And then I, as the sender, get to be able to see what the recipient is going to see at the end of it, before I pay for it. And then in 10 years or 5 years, my brother gets an email notification on that delivery date, showcasing him what the message that I have for him, what virtual time capsule is, and then a direct link, kind of like opening up a YouTube video, where it's like an animation of an old school TV. You get the VHS tape getting put inside, you get the fuzzy screen, and then the home video starts to play. So all of the happy birthday messages and stuff like that. So, and then as a sender, I'll get an email notification a month before the delivery date reminding me who it's going to and what it is. So that way we can be able to have control about, hey, if I'm no longer talking to him, I want to be able to cancel that message. I can update any contact information, or if I pass away or still want it to be able to be delivered and don't interact with that email, it still gets sent out. And then if there's some safety protocols about how, if the recipient doesn't open it, who does it go to and stuff
I love it. There's a lot of the stuff there, right? But you've created something out of what you had a passion, and something came out, obviously through a tragedy with your grandfather, and
like that.
seeing an opportunity to say, hey, what could I do to make a difference and change the way that the experience is of the human self, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes writing a book for people is leaving a legacy, or building a business that maybe the next generations can take over. But how cool
Right.
is this that the technology's evolved over the last, decade, 2, 3, 4 decades, and now you could do something like that. And you thought of the idea. I'm sure, you gave a little bit of the ugly, right, of businesses
Mhm.
war, meaning, you started challenging yourself and having a partnership opportunity and talking through some things, but,
Mhm.
maybe your naivety of business, had
Yeah.
some guardrails that didn't keep you in line. And then obviously some people that tried to take advantage of you. Now, I will say, I think it's a good topic on the Go for CEO community. You talked about, building something with this group out of California and the cousins and all that stuff. Was there ever an opportunity that you talked to an attorney where the IP, did that stay with you as far as the
Yeah.
technology and all that stuff, or?
Yeah, I had we
All right, awesome. Yeah, you were talking about IP and kind of those life experiences, and man, the Go for Zero channels. Listen up, because this is some of the challenges. Not just everything is not always easy peasy in business. So take it away again.
yeah, definitely learned a lot. Definitely would recommend talking to a lawyer. I in all my agreements and stuff that when I talk to people, I make them sign non-compete and non-disclosure agreements. Really just to try to be able to make sure that we can have that conversation freely, but then also be able to protect all of my interests. But again, those can only go so far. So I've definitely been talking to a lawyer and have one with us that's kind of been helping us along throughout all of these steps, and it's been good. But just take the challenges head on and make sure that you have those conversations.
Well, and we appreciate you obviously being vulnerable like that. I mean, it's your first experience into the entrepreneur side. Building a business is not easy,
Mm,
but looking at some of these downfalls, and when you bring in partnerships, if it's not 100% you, they have an opinion, right? And
right,
they want to do things certain ways. So there's always a curiosity of how do you build something to the Amazon or Facebook levels, those types of massive companies, and still the
right.
founders stay in control. So there's a lot of complexity to that. And yeah, hey, the trio I always talk about is a great CPA, a great attorney, and a great commercial banker, in my opinion. So, but awesome. So look, it's really cool that you went through these ideations and kind of new developments, and stubbed your head against some wall, the wall against a couple times. But now you really got into this now AI space, and you've
Mm,
developed kind of an avatar. Tell us about the avatar, the segment, the area that you're really
yeah,
focusing on with virtual time caps.
yeah. Uh, the unique thing about virtual time capsule has been, for when you start off, everybody's supposed to tell you no, it's a terrible idea, but there are so many different reasons, and it's kind of like a universal need. Where like I was saying, all people have the need to be able to send a message and kind of create a legacy, and you never know when you're gonna pass or what's gonna happen tomorrow. And so just being able to guarantee that that message is going to be delivered, and having that intentional purpose and memory for somebody else is really just a special gift to give to somebody. So when I started this, I kind of thought that it was kind of one thing everybody could be able to use, but I've learned that if you build for everybody, it falls on deaf ears because nobody feels heard or valued, and that's really the biggest thing that everybody wants to feel at the end of the day. Um, and so it taps into so many different types of markets. The one that we're really focusing right now is called the sandwich generation. So it's kind of the parents between the ages of, I would say, 30 and 55-ish, who are taking care of their own kids as well as their own parents as well, and watching both sides grow up before their eyes, and realizing that within a blink of an eye everything changes, and you want to be able to preserve both sides before something happens. And so my my grandpa uh, um, after my grandpa passed, I started recording everybody's stories, and I kind of became that family historian where I started interviewing everybody. And I learned a lot about just who they were as a person. But it was cool because right after I interviewed them, unfortunately, they got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, or my grandpa got also, or my grandpa got diagnosed with leukemia, and my grandma was also got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And
Mm.
to watch them change over the last few years has definitely been heartbreaking. But to have them tell their stories the way they want told, and be able to send that back to future generations, and to have for after they've passed, has been just a tremendous thing. And so virtual time capsule is really just a universal need where we're trying to build for social enough for 18 but simple enough for 80, so that everybody can capture all the different aspects of life, and really try to be able to focus in on more of the celebratory things, right? Sending a birthday message for the next 10 years, capturing that holiday celebration and traditions, special graduations, weddings, anniversaries, recipes, traditions, kind of just all the different aspects of life. and then being able to pick and choose who you want it to go to. So we're trying to make it as customized as possible so that you really feel heard and valued as the sender, and then you really can see what the recipient is going to see and feel at that future release date.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, look, there's a lot of heartstrings being pulled there. So if you're listening to this, I'm sure you just got, you know, a little bit of a pull on your heart because you hear these opportunities where someone can be their current self, right, and energy and in flow and all these things, and they're
Right.
leaving a message for someone in the future. And God forbid, something happens where you do get a disease or an accident happens, or you're left with a different situation, or you're just gone, from one night to the next, which is, can be heartbreaking as well, that suddenness. So, hey, look, there's a lot of opportunity here in this business. But I think, one thing that we've talked about off camera is the challenging part of how do you build the pricing model and how do you
Hmm.
get into the target markets that you're talking about. And I know that you're working with some associations as well. Can you tell us about some of those
Yeah.
associations and how that's created a little bit of a different avenue for the business?
Yeah, for sure. So again, the pricing model has definitely been an interesting experience and challenge to wrap my head around. Because what's good for the business is also a different perspective of what's good for the user. And what's good for the user is each individual time capsule is different. So I can be able to send all my stuff on Google Cloud and just store it up on there. But Google and think that it's going to be delivered. I'm saving it. I'm capturing that moment. I can send it to somebody at a later date. But Google deactivates and deletes all your content information after 2 years of inactivity. So it just will wipe out everything. And then uh, I also don't want my mom to see everything in my Google Cloud. So just trying to have that individual message for that person at a later date in the future has been kind of an interesting twist. So the way that we've structured it is we have a free time capsule. So that gives you 1 year delivery to one person for about a 500 megabytes of storage, where Google is like 25 megabytes for an upload before they make you do a Google Drive. So again, really trying to be able to provide that value of storage so that you don't run onto that limit. Um, then we have a milestone, which is about a 50 gigabyte. I'm sorry. We have a milestone, which is a $50 time capsule, which is a 5 gigabyte time capsule, 5 year delivery. And it really allows you to be able to talk and say whatever you want. You can upload different types of pictures and videos. You can be able to record right off the platform, uh, invite other people to be able to collaborate with you, and then really be able to say what you want to say and figure out when you want it to be delivered. We have a generational family pack, which is a bundle of three time capsules for $120. And then we kind of have a yearly subscription of $250 for the unlimited amount of time capsules for about 100 gigabytes of storage. And that's about a 10-year delivery. So it really
Oh,
kind
wow.
of allows you to pick and choose when you want it to go out and how often. And then part of my purpose of this is really to give back to other people who are going through similar situations that I have gone through, dealing with the cancer, as well as going through and watching my grandma go through the Alzheimer's, and kind of steps. I want to give back to those families. So the idea was to be able to partner with the Alzheimer's Association and American Cancer Society to give time capsules away to people looking at life and death differently. But what I've learned has been more or less that the organizations, all of their funding really goes towards the research and maintaining the organization, which it should. Um, so instead of doing X number of time capsules for X number of dollars, it's more, how do we focus on creating more value? So we're doing more of a sponsor capsule. So that way we bring the community into it as well. So the community can buy a discounted capsule for $35 and give it to somebody else. They then record that story and send it to a recipient. The recipient is then invited to experience virtual time capsule in an authentic and an organic way that creates an emotional attachment because you're receiving a gift from somebody else and then having that storytelling. And then they're introduced to a time capsule and want to be able to start creating their own, and then it kind of creates a flywheel effect.
Nice, nice. Well, look, I mean, obviously associations with big organizations like that will give you more marketing exposure and the branding
Mhm.
behind it. I'm assuming just to take that a little bit deeper, is there within the branding of it for these that are associated with Alzheimer's and the American Cancer Association, are they branding it with their logo inside the actual time capsule
Yeah,
or
we can customize it however they want. It's
okay.
really up to what's the purpose of the time capsule and how do we best fit it for that.
Yeah. So look, I mean, look, you've been through the journey, right? You started going to college and had this experience with your
Hmm.
grandfather and unfortunately lost him so abruptly. It makes you think about this business. You go through the business challenges of having partners and developing something and then redeveloping and then rethinking and then reestablishing, right? So all these experiences. So right now, from a day-to-day perspective, what's your entrepreneurial journey like? Are you I met you at a networking event, so are these the things that you're doing to market the business? Are you now thinking, oh, maybe these associations is a great angle? And there's so many associations,
Right.
right, that you could tap into with now that you've had, some of these big dog associations participate with you. What's your
Mhm.
thoughts on where you're at, where you're heading?
Right now, it's just outreach and upkeep. Uh, Trying to just keep the website polished and making sure everything is up and running. Kind of keeping all the data and operations in check. Outreach, just trying to invite other people who have not experienced it yet, who have shown interest, as well as people who have already created accounts and sent time capsules, and just kind of keeping them up to date on what's new, as well as getting some feedback from them. And then I go to about 2 or 3 networking events a week. Just trying to meet new people, trying to build the team, and then we're putting together a marketing plan right now, trying to get all of our ducks in a row and learning from the market space and competition. So trying to polish that up and get that out there soon. And then right now we're talking to some investors as well. So trying to have the conversation to understand where the next step is going to be. So always
Awesome.
looking ahead.
Well, look, you bring up a good point, and you've had this experience where you had some possible partnerships that kind of derailed a little bit and
Mhm.
slowed you down, but then you got back up on your feet. So now, when you're thinking about investors, what are some of the things and criterias that you're saying to yourself, okay, hey, this is what I'm going to look for, maybe an expertise that they have. What do they
Yep.
bring to the value? How am I going to bring or give up equity if I do? What are some of those ideas in your mind now?
Yeah. So we're looking for investors, obviously, to bring some capital to the table, so that way we can be able to put some firepower behind us. Um, the next part is connections, trying to be able to get us in the room of decision makers for some of those organizations, or big time partners, or just a kind of the mass of uh, the sandwich generation. Looking for somebody to help with go to market strategy. It's great to be able to get it to where it is, but right now I feel like I'm too close to the trees to see the rest of the forest. So trying to be able to have somebody help kind of steer away some of those potholes would be nice. And then I would say connections again, but because that's a big thing of just knowing the right people and getting a warm introduction instead of just a cold outreach. But I've had it where people say that they have a lot of introductions and can help us, but they're kind of just talk and don't know the people, or trying to be they just kind of disappear. So I'd love to have conversations with people if they're interested in learning more about the business, and trying to be able to see how they can help. We're expanding the team right now, and building it fast, and just trying to explore what the next opportunities are.
I love it. Now, have you also, obviously you're one guy, right? And I always try to say, you go from an employee trading hours for dollars in a big corporation
Mm,
or a small company is paying you, then you become a solopreneur, which is basically like owning your own job.
right,
And it's not an easy thing because you're not getting paid a salary per se, and you know that
right.
each hour that you don't make money is another hour that you have left behind because it's obviously not going to come back right on the time side of things. So, what are some day-to-day things that you're doing that you could share with other entrepreneurs that kind of keep you focused? Are you using certain systems, any
Mm.
type of processes? Is there a schedule that you take and just adhere to? Hey, I got to be up by 6 a.m. I got to do this by 12. I got to do this by 3, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've gotten into the bad habit of not doing time blocking. I used to do it, and now life has kind of had thrown me a few curveballs that I need to get back into it. But for me, my whole day kind of consists on like the daily habits that I've built. So I work out for about 30 to 45 minutes a day. I read every day, so I try to do at least a chapter a night. Um, Trying to learn AI has been a big thing for me right now, and just trying to learn vibe coding and all the different aspects of how you can implement and automate, uh, as well as eating healthy. Taking care of yourself as an entrepreneur is kind of one of the things that people don't do. Your body is the only thing that you really have, and so it's trying to be able to maintain uh, where you are and keeping a healthy state of mind as well as body has been important to me. I have a health condition or a heart condition, so trying to be able to be consistent with that and just maintain and make sure that that is okay. Um, and then just continuous to outreach, just making a list every night about what you need to do, and then that way you have a plan and goal in place in the morning, and you can kind of just start right away.
Okay.
Keep on
Well,
the
look,
move.
I mean, a lot of things there, right? And like you said, right? There's the five F's that I talk about, right? Faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun.
Hmm.
Part of your fitness is a big deal to become an entrepreneur, and just noting that and making sure that it's part of it. Obviously, if you have something that you are personally dealing with, right, knowing how to maintain and manage that, and then having the right relationships and building and being curious
Yep.
about other people and seeing if there's a connection there that they may have someone. But like we talked about and joked a little bit, business is war. But you've been going through the battlefields, and excited for you to keep on doing that. So let's
Thank
talk
you.
about the client journey a little bit.
Mhm.
Typically we end our interviews with CEO, which is client experience, E for engagement, and O for operational excellence. But why don't we dive
Yep.
into what is it starting to look like right now? A lot of iterations throughout the years, but when a client either goes online or meets you personally at a networking event or finds out about virtual time capsule, what's actually the experience for them at the moment?
Yeah, that's a good question. In the moment, people are kind of taken back because they're not necessarily thinking about a delayed gratification type of message. Everything is instant right now and kind of socialized. But then when they start thinking about it, they start realizing about how cool it would have been for their grandparents to be able to send them a message, and so or somebody else, so they can start imagining people around them and why they would use it today. Um, and then be able to kind of keep talking about the experience. I'm always refining it and trying to be able to learn why where do people get stuck. But we've made it really simple right now where you upload all of your pictures and videos after you pick your prompts and what you want to talk about, and kind of do like a digital scrapbook. So you can do a voiceover and talk about what each individual picture is, and I give the history behind it. Like I mentioned before, you can invite other people to talk about specific prompts to be able to make it more of a community and a collaborative experience. And then we really focus on that guaranteed delivery of sending it to the future. So we have a bunch of protocols in place to be able to make sure that it's there. But the cool thing about virtual time capsule is that it's different perspectives. So if I'm creating the time capsule, I have one purpose. I'm inviting you to be able to create it. You're collaborating and joining with me, and then I can see what the recipient is going to see, so I can kind of curate those emotional feelings and nostalgia for the future and kind of predict all of that. And so it's really just all about how you want to tell your stories and what you want to preserve for the future.
It's I love while you're talking, I'm trying to think, man, I recently wrote a book and it's coming out soon, and it's one of my ways to kind of leave a legacy for kids that I'll have right in the future. Um,
Mm,
but it's so cool that you've had this perspective and you've intertwined your passion and feeling and experiences into a business that, will keep on growing little by little. You're starting to formulate the right ideas and the right processes to get things done. So E is for engagement with in our CEO model. So
yeah.
engagement is, hey, do you have vendors that you take out to for a drink once in a while, or do you
Mm,
have employees or maybe a virtual assistants or other people on the team that you engage with, and the clients obviously is a big deal as well. So tell us a
mm.
little bit about your thoughts on just being an entrepreneur and engaging with vendors, clients,
Yeah.
people that work with you, stuff like that?
Yeah. I've always known that virtual time capsule is bigger than me. The founder story is cool, but I want to be able to make sure other people feel like they're heard and valued and can see themselves in the business. So, my focus has really been more about how do you bring in other people, and make them feel welcome. And so we, as a team, over the last year, we've had a team of about 7 people. Four of them have been local, and so we had a pool party and we had a grill out and kind of came together. We've done different types of launch parties and celebratory events. And then I go to nursing homes and being able to record other people's stories and kind of being able to walk them through virtual time capsule and actually listen to them. So it's fascinating, just the things that I've heard and learned from people's perspectives and lives who are in there and just wanted somebody to talk to you. So it's really cool to be able to capture their stories and then be able to send it to their families in the future. We have sponsored an Alzheimer's panel where they brought a bunch of experts in and kind of talked about what's going on and the research behind it. We sponsored Relay for Life table for the American Cancer Society. We have a few more coming up in the fall. And so just trying to get out there and get the word to as many people about what virtual time capsule is and just continuing to gather feedback and build a better experience.
I love it. Well, that's a great capsule of engagement, right? I mean, what you just said was really cool because I think there's a lot of things in there that intertwine through this journey of building something that will last, right? And like you
Hmm.
said, it's going to be beyond, the measures of what you can do. It's going to be people coming together, hearing about the idea, really resonating with it. Different markets will react differently. Different
Right.
organizations will see different things with what you're doing. But you've spent a lot of good time in the technology and those types of areas. So let's end with the O for CEO, which is operational excellence.
Mhm.
When you think about the systems, the tools, the storage space, the all that type of stuff. These things come to mind. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what's going on with that, with the operational side.
Yeah, for sure. So we are built off of Supabase and Amazon Web Services, React, and kind of all like the standard stuff right now. We're learning more about vibe coding and trying to just test out more or less different versions and kind of see what we like. And then we have really built out our platform to be able to have a cost structure that scales properly. So then we take the initial storage for after the first year and then convert it to cold storage so that we decrease our costs over time. Right now we're looking at a really healthy profit margin and operating expenses, and then really trying to put more or less of that new investment in towards more of that user acquisition, and then as well as looking at how to bring in VR. We've been testing out VR and a component of my brother recorded a video of him when he was 18 years old, and I sent it back to him probably about 5 years after that, and he put a VR headset on and was face to face with his younger self. So we're thinking about how do you record like a 360 video in grandma's living room, be able to be back in that living room with her in the future and kind of be like almost walk around. And so that's kind of that next step is how do we continue to just scale properly right now, make sure everything is working correctly, and then build a better user experience for the future.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And look, bootstrapping it is not easy, right? And not having deep, deep, deep pockets, but the I guess the grit and the work through and the fight to keep on making this a reality has been
Hmm.
very inspiring. I know at Go for Show community, Rob's putting in the effort, the time, and the blood, sweat, and tear, as they say. And it's exciting to
Exactly.
see that, and we're going to support you here at the Go for CO channel. So, Rob, let people
Appreciate it.
know how to get a hold of you, how to connect with Virtual Time
Yeah, for
Capsule,
sure.
all that type of stuff, so that they can kind of make their decisions to work with you as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's tryvtc.com. So try virtual time capsule, tryvtc.com. And then if you want to get a hold of me, it's rob at tryvtc.com.
Awesome, awesome. Super simple, right? So, and
Exactly.
easy to get to. So, and then are you doing any new seminars coming up? Are you doing LinkedIn Lives or anything that you'd want to promote?
I'm doing a lot of speaking events, so just getting in front of different clubs as well as nursing homes, hospitals, hospice, different organizations. Just trying to get the word out there as much as possible. So if you're interested, reach out. Love to connect and kind of learn more about you and your the way that we can help.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, Go for CO community, if you're new to this channel, these are the types of interviews that we have, right? Rob may not be the Mark Cuban of the world and world famous, but we
One
love
day,
that yeah, one day, but he had an idea, right? He put it into implementation. He assessed where he was at. He then aligned himself with certain people that really brought some value initially, and he had some trials and tribulations with those partnership initially. But
hmm
then he took accountability. He could have just failed and said, "Ah, well, I guess it didn't work out." But he's kept on going, and now he's attacked it every single day. And that's the work ethic and the mindset you have to have. So, shameless plug, the 4A formula, how to untangle any challenge and think like a CEO. The book's coming out soon. So, Rob, thanks so much for coming on. Look
thanks
forward
for
to
having
having
me.
you on. We try to have our guests on maybe every 18 to 24 months, and we'd love
Cool.
to see what you've been able to do over the next couple years and where virtual time capsule goes. So, any
Yeah,
last
excited.
words?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been great to be able to walk through it with and share my vision and virtual time capsule with others. So I appreciate your time. If you'd love
Uh,
to connect, I'd love to talk more.
awesome, brother. Well, hey, check them out. Virtual time capsule. Try VTC.com and also become a subscriber to the channel. Check us out on Spotify, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on X. We're pretty much everywhere and starting to get a lot of great momentum in this community. So thank you so much, Rob. We'll talk to you soon.